My name is Qiao Ma. I joined Munro Partners as a portfolio manager around 7 months ago in February 2023.
Qiao, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Of course. I started my finance career with an institute formerly known as Lehman Brothers. It was my first job. I was an investment banker, and I was actually covering the financial institutions group. So Lehman Brothers, all the banks, were actually the companies I was analyzing. I think starting a career with Lehman and actually went through with Lehman, I left Lehman 3 months before the company declared bankruptcy. So it just forever, I think, imprinted a very different understanding of risk, of humility, of the art and war of business in some ways in me. I wanted to be an investor. I think that's one of the upon reflection of my investment banking career, I really wanted to do investing and pick stocks. So I went back to business school, and ever since then, I have been in public investing. I started my public investing career with large hedge funds in the US. It was a great opportune time because a lot of the internet companies that we all know and use today, like Facebook, I was actually there when Facebook first became public. The whole wave of emerging market internet companies also became public around the same time. Massive transformation from desktop to mobile, and then of course now to artificial intelligence. So to be where I was and to be a public investor over all these massive waves of changes really just made me really excited about innovation, about growth companies, and excited about, constantly optimistic and excited about what we look at.
So what were some career highlights for you?
Yeah, so there are 2 highlights. The first one is a personal one. So I started my career with a fund called Co2, and it is one of the larger, what we call the Tiger Cups, which is the spin-off funds from the original hedge fund, the Tiger Management hedge fund started by Julian Robertson. And Julian was in his late 80s back then. He's passed away 2 years ago, but he was in his late 80s back then, but still sharp as a knife. And he had this wonderful tradition that every year around Christmas time, he would take the young analysts from the larger Tiger Cups out to dinner. So we go to a nice French place in New York City, and all of us will have to pitch an idea to Julian. And within 5 seconds, he will tell us in the most direct way that it's a wonderful idea, or that's just no good, you're wasting your time, barking up the wrong tree. And I just remember the nerve-wracking experience at these Christmas dinners, pitching to Julian in front of everybody, but also at the same time, just absolutely in awe of his intellect, his just the sharp reaction, his role into it, and just the absolute dedication. And I think he just embodies so much of the passion that all of us aspire to have and want to have for this business. And I remember thinking to myself back then that, yeah, I wanted to be a stock picker until the day I die, and just never planning to retire. So that was the first highlight. The second one is probably the first career Tenbagger for me. And I went to Japan back in 2014. And after a very grueling week of meetings, there was one little meeting that was almost just like a little filled-in space. And it's a company called Cookpad. And it does recipes for the Japanese housewives. And at first it just sounded such an easy idea, almost mundane. And then you realize that it has 95% share of all the Japanese people who cook. And the people who cook who also tend to be in charge of the household budgets. Then you realize what a golden advertising platform that this business really could be. And that's really at the start of them actually launching some of the household goods advertising on their platform, and it's taking off because the return on advertising is just so high because it was exactly the right target demographic. So we bought the stock. It was a tiny little stock, less than $1 billion market cap, and it became a Tenbagger. Unfortunately, eventually they have some management turnover and pull the advertising product, and the stock sort of didn't quite work out in the end, but we've sort of probably sold at a very good level. But it was just one of those, highlights as in, a random meeting basically just took me down this really surprising journey and eventually discover a really interesting company and with, a lot of, returns for the investors.
And so you are going to be leading Munro's newest fund. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so we are starting a SMID fund, a Munro, and SMID is being defined at a market cap of under 30 billion US. The exciting thing about the SMID fund is really twofold. One is, I love to think that we should go fish where the fishes are. And there are a lot of really attractive fishes in the SMID space. And the reason of that really is when you look at the market returns over the past couple of years, it's very skewed towards very large cap companies. So in a lot of ways, these SMID companies are actually cheaper in valuation. And the second thing is, and especially within the Munro areas of interest, we see real innovation, some really exciting new things that these smaller companies are doing, and that translates into earnings growth. So you're getting cheaper valuation, faster earning growth, and that's really why we're really excited about this.